Okay, so leading up to lesson 10, we have done a sequence of translations, we've done a sequence of reflections, we've done a sequence of rotations, we've done a sequence of translations and reflections, we've done a sequence of translations and rotations, and now we're going to put all of them together. We're going to use translation, reflection, and rotation all together. So this should be pretty easy. We're just putting everything we already know together. Okay, so on this diagram here, we have ellipse E. That's what we call this. It's not an oval. Okay, we have vector V right here. We have line L right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to determine what a translation is, followed by rotation, followed by a reflection. And when we do this, the order in which we do transformations does matter. If we perform them out of order, we won't get what we need. So we're going to do the translation first. Okay, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Translation on vector V. And then we're going to do a reflection. Actually, I said rotation. Sorry, rotation. And the center of rotation is going to be -1, 1. And the angle of rotation is going to be 90 degrees. Okay, and then we will do a reflection across line L. Okay, so first we're going to do the translation. So if we use this vector, we're going to move E, okay, up 1, left 2. So from the center, up 1, left 2. So this is E prime. Okay, E prime. Everybody good with that? Then we're going to take this and we're going to rotate it around our center of -1, 1. So we're going to rotate it around here 90 degrees. Okay. So I have my point. Okay, so again, we're using the top of the paper to do our 90 degrees. So when we rotate it, it's going to be like this. Okay. So when we rotate it, it'll end up looking like this right here in this location. Okay, and then once we've done that, we're going to take this figure and we're going to reflect it over line L. So this figure, line L. When we reflect it, we literally flip the paper over and line up the line of reflection. So it'll be down here. So this one here was E prime prime. It's the second time we moved it. And then when we reflect it, we're going to have this one here. And this would be E prime prime prime. So this was E prime prime. This was E prime. So this is the translation, then the rotation, and then the reflection. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put them all together. But first we're going to work through your problem set, or not your problem set, but your classwork. Super easy. Okay. This one just starts out by having you describe them. When you describe them, you have to be very specific. Okay. And I'm going to push for that. Okay. So here it says the following picture or triangle ABC can be traced on a transparency and mapped on a triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Which basic rigid motion or sequence of basic rigid motions are just reflection, rotation, translation. Those are our basic rigid motions. So we're going to do one or a sequence of them to move one triangle on top of the other. So here you could reflect over line BC to get the other one. Okay, so reflect triangle ABC over segment BC. So you have to tell me what you're reflecting, what you're moving, and what you're reflecting it over. You always have to have a line of reflection. Okay? So in number 2, okay, same thing here. Which basic range of motion or sequence of would map one triangle onto the other? So for me, okay, on this one, it would just be a rotation with a center at B. You guys see that? So it would be rotate triangle ABC negative D degrees. And negative because we're going clockwise to get C to C prime. To move C to C prime. Okay, so I want you to tell me, oh, I didn't do this, sorry, around B. When you're rotating something, you need to give me the angle of rotation and the center. So if I were to write this the right way, it would be rotate triangle ABC negative D degrees, because we went clockwise, around B, so that C goes to C prime. Okay. On 3, which basic motion or sequence would move one triangle onto the other? Okay, so right now, one triangle onto the other, you can pick, but when it gets specific and says triangle ABC onto triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, then it's going to matter. Okay, so the first thing I would do here is I would make 2 of the points line up. Okay, so I would do something like this. This is what it's going to look like when we do this. Okay, I would rotate it so that the triangles had one side in common, and then I would take it and reflect it. And you can't just say rotate and reflect. I want you guys to be specific in what you're talking about. Okay, so rotate triangle ABC. We're going to go this way. Negative D degrees around B. So C to C prime. Okay, then after you've rotated it, then you're going to have to reflect it. Reflect triangle ABC over segment B prime C prime, because I'd already moved it here, so I'm going to use this line to reflect it. So this one will be a rotation and a reflection. Okay. On number 4, you're going to do the same thing, except for now you have 2 scenarios. So 2 problems instead of 1. Okay, so you could do these in different ways. So you could say translate B to B prime. Oh, and this is important. Okay, so it says, how do you see? Okay, so you could translate B to B prime and then rotate it. Or you could translate B prime to B and then rotate it. It's going to be different as long as it gets it in the right position. So if I were you, I would make sure that if you weren't sure, you put your transparency there, trace one, and then see what different things you would have to do to make them line up. So for me, I would move ABC, and I would translate B to B prime. And then I would rotate around B so that C and C prime lined up. Okay, so first thing, translate B to B prime. So that would kind of be your vector there. Then I would rotate triangle, translate triangle ABC, sorry. Triangle ABC, negative D degrees around B prime.